want to do another video tonight about the Glock 42. Now, since the ad that you're looking at here came out, a lot of people have been very interested in this gun. They've been very curious as to what it's going to be. That was the intention of this ad. It's a teaser ad. It was to get us interested, and it worked. We've all been very curious. We've been wondering, what's the capacity going to be? What's the caliber going to be? Etc. Well, it seems like all those questions have now been answered because this picture has been leaked on the internet. It seems to be the new Glock catalog with the new Glock 42 in it. It gives all the dimensions, how thick it is, how long it is, how tall it is, gives the caliber, the capacity, the weight. It gives everything about the gun. It seems to be like a little photo of a page of the gun, and it all looks pretty legit. Now, a lot of people might not be happy that it's a 380, but, still, it seems to me like this is a pretty interesting gun. It's pretty small. Now, is it groundbreaking? Nope, it's not smaller than my SIG P238. In fact, it's larger than my SIG P238. It might be a little bit lighter than some of the models of the P238, but still not that small of a gun. They're calling it a pocket gun. I wouldn't call it a pocket gun because I think the SIG P238 pushes the limits of how big a pocket gun can actually be. Still, it's a Glock. And it's small, it's single stack, it is the closest thing to a pocket gun Glock has ever made, and a lot of people are really, really interested in this gun, and a lot of people now seem to think, well, mystery solved, this is what it is. And a lot of people are happy with what it is, and some people aren't because of the caliber and the low capacity. It's only 6+1. But when you're wanting a small gun, you kind of got to put up with a lower capacity and sometimes a smaller caliber. So me personally, I'm not that unhappy with it. And like I said, this ad seems very legitimate, so I've got no real reason to doubt the veracity of the ad, but there are a couple of things in the ad that make me kind of wonder, and I'm going to want to point those out right now. I'm not saying this is a fake. I'm just saying that if it did turn out to be a fake, I wouldn't be that surprised, because there are a couple indicators here. First off, the gun is the wrong size. It's not the right size for the outline that was in the original ad. It doesn't match up to that outline. The gun from the trigger guard forward is just a little bit longer than the gun that's outlined in the original ad. Now, that's not too big of a deal because the outline in the original ad could be a little misleading. There's nothing in that ad that says this is the actual outline of the gun, so that could be nothing. So I'm willing to dismiss that quite easily. But then there's this thing. This bothers me just a little bit. Now, you might join me in this bothering you, or you might just be like, oh, it's absolutely nothing. And if you say it's nothing, I would have to say, you might be right because it is a very small thing. But if you look here, it says Maker Glock USA. This gun is going to be made in the USA, which it kind of has to be because if it was made elsewhere, it wouldn't be able to be imported, being a 380 and being the size it is. Wouldn't get enough points to be imported. So it's being made here in the USA. Now, that in itself, that's not a problem. That makes sense. But if you look above, it says the finish is Tenifer. Now, Tenifer is a finish that I was under the impression that Glock doesn't use anymore. Tenifer is if I pronounce this correctly, if I remember it correctly, it's a ferritic nitrocarbonizing technique. It is a way of finishing metal. And Tenifer is an actual copyrighted or whatever you call trademarked form of that. And for it to be actual Tenifer, which I said, which is a trademark name, it is a brand name, it has to be a salt bath form of this type of finishing. This type of finishing, the salt bath form, is not legal in the United States. Now, there are other types of that type of nitrocarbonizing, and it's there's gaseous form, and I think there's plasma formed, and it's just different ways of actually finishing the process. But for it to be Tenifer, it has to be the salt bath because that is the way it is copyrighted. And like I said, Tenifer can't be done in the United States. In fact, they don't even do Tenifer in Austria anymore. So I'm just curious as to why the manual says Tenifer. Someone make a mistake and put an old finish type in the magazine here or the catalog or whatever this is, or is this fake and someone didn't catch on to the fact that Glock doesn't use Tenifer anymore? So like I said, I'm just kind of a suspicious person, but this could very easily be nothing, but those things just don't add up to me. In the end, I will not be the least bit surprised if this ad's completely legitimate. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a fake. So those of us that are wondering what it is, looks like we might know, looks like we might not know. Most people, I think, are going to say this ad looks legitimate and this is what it's going to be. So now it'll be just up to people to decide, do you think it's a real ad? Do you not think it's a real ad? And if you think it's a real ad, are you happy with what you see? You ain't even my real dad.